for Angela.
I'm taking you with me.
We are talking Pumpkinhead 4, Blood Feud. This one written and directed by Michael Hurst. And this is a 2007 made-for Sci-Fi Channel movie that was actually made back-to-back with the third film. And this one tells a story of two families that are kind of at war with one another, having this kind of feud which has gone on for generations. But there are a individual from each family that is in love with the other one. So we have a guy from this one particular family who is in love with this girl and vice versa. And they have this kind of doomed love, so to speak. And they're trying to keep it a secret, but from the female's family, the two of her brothers find out about it and ultimately end up causing the death of the sister of the guy. And he, in a fit of rage, wants to get revenge, and so he goes to the witch, resurrects, of course, Pumpkinhead, and asks to kill the entirety of the other family, with the exception of his beloved woman. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So, made for a TV, obviously, TV movie, shot in Romania, as was the third movie, at least partially. This one again features Lance Henriksen. What works in this movie? Okay, so this one actually uses a little less CGI than the third film, which is the first thing I would say, which is a positive, because the CGI in that third movie was terrible. And although there was a little bit here, it is less than the third film. So the Pumpkinhead creature is, 97% on screen time as a practical kind of man in a suit. And I think it's the same suit that they used in the third movie, which, I actually have to say I prefer than the one in the second film. So Pumpkinhead, looks better for more of his screen time in this fourth movie. It's gory again, this one. It's probably as gory as the third movie, and gorier than the first two. There's a couple of kind of gory on-screen deaths here, considering this one and the third were made for TV. That's, somewhat surprising when you think about it. Lance Henriksen gets a little more screen time here, I think, than the third film. And here, having not seen the third and the fourth movie before watching them for this review, when I watched the third one, I presumed he was like a hallucination, because there was a connection to one of the characters from the original movie. But this one, he appears to be more like a ghost, and I'm presuming that means that he was in the third movie as well. So he appears to kind of different people and kind of gives them omens and things like this. So he's kind of like a ghost in this film. Gets a little bit more screen time, and I would say has a little bit more of a direct impact on the kind of the story here. We also get a little bit more time with Haggis, who gets a little bit more development. Haggis is the witch that ultimately is the kind of the gatekeeper for Pumpkinhead, and she here tries to dissuade this kind of young boy who wants revenge from going down this path, and maybe a little bit more so than she has done in the other kind of the films. So you feel like she got a little bit more sort of nuance to her character to a degree. I actually thought, because she's in the beginning of the movie a reasonable amount, but then she kind of, once she's off screen, she never comes back again. But yeah, so she gets maybe a little bit more so than the other film. The interesting thing, I think, story-wise, of this movie is that there's these kind of families that are feuding, and this ultimately causes all these deaths to happen, but in a weird kind of sort of circumventing of events, this actually causes the families eventually to kind of reconcile to a degree, when there's however many of them are left. But ultimately, that's kind of, they put aside their differences to kind of work together. maybe that wouldn't have happened had this not, you know, this turn of events actually started happening. But there you go. So there's kind of somewhat of an irony in it, in some sort of sense. You know, I think the Lance Henriksen is you know, he's fairly good in this movie. Again, it's not a major role, to be fair. Everyone here does, I think, an okay job in the kind of the acting department here. It's nothing special, but I think you kind of get the impression that they're, despite being filmed in Romania for a lot, and probably some of the kind of the non-speaking parts were probably Romanian actors. So I think that, you know, they do a good job, I think, at least coming across as kind of hillbilly hick types. They have a kind of, although it is actually set after the last film, it tries to have a bit more of a Western style aesthetic to it, and there's a reason for this. Although, you know, there's still kind of like vehicles and things like that, and but it tries to have a little bit more of a westerny, old sort of time period feel to it, because it's clearly kind of aping the Hatfield and McCoy kind of feud storyline that was obviously, you know, sort of from that time period. So that's an interesting kind of aesthetic choice there. I mean, it's a fun creature feature with the kind of the monster on the loose killing a bunch of people, and there's a particularly kind of gory scene where the Pumpkinhead creature attacks this house where these two families are kind of having this meeting, and ends up kind of slicing his way through both families with body parts all over the place. So there's probably, out of the entire series, this probably has the highest body count. Not they're all on screen, but you know, there's certainly lots of kind of prosthetic body parts kind of lying around, and kind of like gallons of blood up the walls and things like that. So it's certainly, you know, the most sort of high body count, I would suggest, out of the kind of the franchise here. So, you know, it's a fun, again, somewhat kind of like brainless movie to a large degree, but there's an element of enjoyment to be had just to watch all the kind of the carnage here. So where this movie doesn't work for me, I mean, these two families are called the Hatfield and McCoys. They are literally called that. I mean, talk about on the nose. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm not even from the States, and I know of the Hatfield and McCoys. So there you go. I think that was a little bit on the nose, and it has this kind of Romeo and Juliet element to it, I suppose. To me, this movie had some really like idiotic story points, and kind of the way that the story unfolds. I'll give you two examples. So the Pumpkinhead creature is set upon the Hatfield family, and it kills 6 of this Hatfield family, and I'm presuming they're all like brothers or cousins or something. But this family don't seem all that bothered by it in their kind of reactions. I mean, they just feel like, it just feels like, oh, that's someone I knew, that kind of thing. So like, oh, you know, they've got another one, oh damn. And it's just kind of, I get, it's weird. It's the direction, it's the acting, it's the kind of the way these sort of characters are written. I mean, they obviously try and get revenge as the story goes, but just the reactions to it. This is like a family, and they've been feuding over a car. This is how the feud started, about a car. But when actual family members are slaughtered, they really don't seem too worried about it. It's just like such a sort of weird sort of way that these people are reacting to family members, sons, getting killed, and just so matter of fact and sort of throw away about it. And another kind of weird story point here is that Lance Henriksen appears as this ghost, and he appears to different people. Okay, so I don't really understand why he's in this movie for a start. So in the third movie, the Pumpkinhead creature came from his corpse. So I guess that's really why he's appearing. But he also had a connection to someone involved in that story. Here, the fourth movie, the Pumpkinhead creature does not come from his corpse. It comes from someone else. And he has no connection to anyone in this story that was directly related to his own story. So why is he there? Purely, well, I'll tell you why. It's because they got Lance Henriksen for a few days shooting, and they shot these movies back to back, so they wanted his name on there. That's why, and that's the only reason. But in story-wise, it doesn't make sense why he's involved in this, if that makes sense. The other thing about Lance Henriksen's character is that the female kind of love interest that these ultimately started all this, Lance Henriksen's going, oh, you know, only you can kind of, you know, stop Pumpkinhead, and you're going to have to do something that you're not going to like, i.e. kill the boyfriend. But the whole family already know this, and it's like Lance Henriksen makes that only you can do this. No, it isn't. Anyone can kill the boyfriend, and that will stop Pumpkinhead, because we see it at the beginning of this movie. We know that the law, that's what actually happens. And, you know, about probably towards the end of the second act, everyone knows who has been responsible from both families, and we literally have a character say the only way to stop them, this is not Lance Henriksen's character, the only way to stop Pumpkinhead is to kill this guy who has summoned him. So both families now know this, and they are also told you cannot kill Pumpkinhead, you cannot harm him, the only way to stop him is to kill the guy who summoned him. No one does that, and they all try and kill Pumpkinhead with guns, even though they've emphatically been told that won't work. They just kind of basically line up for the slaughter, and then Lance Henriksen's going, only you, this girl, can stop Pumpkinhead by killing, whilst literally anyone can do that, because you know, that's A, the established law, and B, characters have already been told that in this very movie. And it's just like, man, this movie really is like tripping over itself on its kind of own mythology. So it's kind of quite annoying, really, I have to say. This movie, although 3 and 4 were both primarily filmed in Romania, I feel this one looks like it was more filmed in Romania and kind of looks less like rural America to me. Just in the kind of the architecture and this kind of like this hillbilly aesthetic that it's kind of going for. I'm not quite buying it. And some of the kind of the sort of the actors in the background and stuff, again, they look more like Romanian, the way they're kind of dressed and things like this, and their hair and stuff like that. It doesn't really quite sell you on the fact that it's you know, obviously rural America somewhere. And to be honest with you, this is the 4th film now. I would have liked to have seen them done something different. Maybe they've summoned 2 Pumpkinheads that could be from opposing kind of families, or something else is there to kind of like challenge Pumpkinhead. It's another story of revenge, where oh, how are we going to defeat it? The same way we've defeated it in every other movie. It's just more of the same, and you know, the 4th movie in, really it needed to do something different. I like the fact that in the 3rd movie we had this kind of cat and mouse where people are trying to kind of outwit each other in the kind of the loopholes of these rules. But here it's more of just a straight sort of you know, revenge flick ultimately. And then we have this kind of sheriff who we get like a little mini story at the beginning about how he's once dealt with kind of Pumpkinhead and shot the person who summoned it, so that's why he's escaped. And he just goes up and basically tries to confront Pumpkinhead himself, even though he knows it's not going to work. Why? You know, why just try and get out of it again, or why not just kill yourself? I don't know. This to me, there's loads of elements in this story that didn't make sense. Like I said, I personally feel this is not as strong story-wise as the 3rd movie. I'd probably put it on par with the 2nd one, so I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? What's your favourite in this series? Do let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.